Hello.
Hello.
Book discussion. Whoop whoop. Yes. So, what did everybody think? I mean, like ratings wise.
The first 5 chapters were fun.
Famke, do you want to go first and tell us what you thought about book 1, and then you can tell us book 2, the first 5 chapters, and Esme, you can do the same.
Yeah, I gave the first one, I think I gave it 4 stars. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Most of my predictions came true in some sense, at least. But we already discussed that. But yeah, I actually had a lot of fun, and I really like so far. Like what I've read of the second book is that they're like in the dad's creepy basement, basically discovering shit, and I really like that. I just like mysteries and solving stuff and like, oh, this is a key. Where does the key lead? So yeah, I mean the first 5 chapters are great. For sure.
For me, it was actually 4 stars, the second one. I gave the first one 3 because I really felt like it was just warming up for the second book, but the second book I actually really enjoyed a lot more. Maybe because it was a bit bigger, but I really, really liked the second book. I gave 4 stars, so I'm excited for the third one.
Nice. So yeah, just a recap. I also gave first book 4 stars, I think, the same as Famke. And this one, I would say was like a 3.5, maybe a 4, because I feel like first half I was a bit like, I'm like, it felt like dragging a little, but then second half actually I had a lot of fun. So in the end, I came out feeling positive. So yeah, I think I've decided we're gonna chat and I'm gonna give my final rating, if that makes sense, because I'm a bit like not sure. What about you, Kira?
So I believe I rated the first book like 4 stars. And there's a few things in here that kind of made me want it like 3.5. Doesn't mean I didn't thoroughly enjoy it, but there was just a few things like that kind of took me out of it a little bit. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Sims Tafty is on team Esme because he said I too was 3 stars on the first book and 4 for the second book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree.
Nice. Do we want to talk like details? I don't know. Does anyone have any burning discussion points?
Everybody was like Alja. Like everybody's Alja now. Like that has any kind of special abilities at all. Everyone. And I'm not complaining about that, but it just seems like really crazy. Like that everybody's like Alja now, I say that right? Algia, or something like that.
I listened to the audio, so I should know that. It was slightly different. I can't remember what it was.
I actually read it as Alanya, but I'm not sure if that's just.
That's
how. Oh, okay. Because I keep mispronouncing things, so I was like, that's me. I mispronounce it again, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird word.
It is, yeah. No, the other one said Alanga. I remember now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I wish. So if the main characters are Alanga, I don't know.
Alanga.
Something. Something.
Then what does that make Mephi and Thurana? You know, like are they the same thing, or are they something completely different? You know, like are they? I don't feel like we've gotten a clear discussion on that.
Yeah, and that was one of my gripes with the book, I think, because I felt very frustrated because I also thought Femke, when we were in the basement, would be uncovering a lot. And I guess in a sense we did. And then we meet this monk who is also Alanga. And I was like, great, grill him for information. Like I thought they would literally like sit there and interrogate him and ask questions. And I felt like they gave up so easy. Like he gave a couple very vague answers. And they were like, cool, I guess there's nothing else to learn. I'm like, what do you mean? He clearly knows more. And that always frustrates me in books when they're like, clearly, this guy knows something. Push for information. This is very important. So yeah, I was hoping we would learn more, but I feel still like it's super, super vague. And I really, really enjoyed actually finding the diary of that Elanga guy.
Yeah, and Dione or something. Yeah.
Like that. And then I was like, okay, great, we're gonna find out everything from this book. And then I feel like we just got glimpses. It was like the bit of translation in every chapter of Jarvis's, but not like them sitting and reading it. And then once Lynn was like, oh, I know this language, I was like, great, we're gonna learn everything. And it was still so vague. And I'm like,
Yeah.
just learn stuff.
I mean, I did like the revelation in the end. I had a feeling that it was like, I'm not sure if we have sort of a less detailed and then a detailed part, or if do we just head in?
I was literally just writing, should we say spoilers?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because-
generally, we just go straight into spoilers, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
We know
Okay, good to
Frankie
know.
doesn't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I know that, but yeah, I'm not sure if there might have been someone here who didn't finish it and then was like, let's not. But I'll just dive right in. So the sort of the revelation in the end that Gio was in fact Dione, and the fact that he doesn't have one of the Osselans, so basically a Thrawn or a Mephi, being the fact that he no longer has a shard. I thought that was really interesting. I think that was one of the sort of highlights for the book and making me very interested in what the next book will be, because we've not completely dealt with the Construct Army yet completely. But there's also, on the other end, Gio, who now wants back control of the world. So I'm very curious to see which direction they will take and which villain sort of will take first and second place, if that makes sense. That is true. I really like that.
Gio is
Yeah.
the revolution guy, right?
Yes, he is. He's the leader of the Shardless few, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who took the in the first book, the on the island. I don't remember all the names, but
Nephilim?
yeah, about the perspective that we all felt like, what? We don't
Yeah.
care about this one. Yeah. Okay.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I think I really like that revelation because I didn't suspect anything till I think, was it Rami or whatever? She was like, oh, why do you, or someone said to the Geo guy, like,
Yeah,
why
Renami, I think.
much? Yeah, about like destroying the royal family in particular. I was like, huh, interesting. I think he's this guy. So I was like, oh my God, yeah, that's so good. Like a really good reveal. But I agree with you. It's curious to see because I thought maybe we would totally get rid of one villain and, have the final bad guy for book 3 be like Geo, I guess. But yeah, that's interesting that they're both kind of still alive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think Gio will be the main one on the last. Like it's in my head, I can imagine something going either which way. So it's either gonna be what was her name? Nifos? Basically the
Nissan.
Yeah, Nissan. Yeah. It's either her gonna be teaming up with Lynn to go against Gio or the other way around, I think. I have a feeling it's gonna be something along those lines. But
Yeah.
well, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Going back to the rating discussion, it was cruising just below 4 stars for the bulk of the book, but the finale and all the new and dangling threads at the end lifted it up over the line.
I feel like that's how I felt. Like I felt like most of the book was good, but I could easily put it down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was really good. Yeah, I feel like most of the book I was like, I'm okay to put it down. And the ending, I was like, this is really interesting. And yeah, Ayesh was a really interesting like revelation. I was like, oh, like yeah, I didn't see that coming. I don't know if you guys did. I was like, oh, I thought she had some kind of family that she's feeding or grandma.
Yeah.
Or something. I was like,
Yeah, I
"Oh,
thought she Ayesh is a little girl that Renami and Falu actually sort of kind of pick up. It's a girl who is from one of the islands that sunk. So in the second book, there's quite a couple of islands that actually sink. And one of them being Unta. She actually managed to get off and onto Nephilo. I can't pronounce that name to save my life. But the other island. And so Falua actually sort of feels this connection to this orphan and starts training her, and her wife Renami, she doesn't trust her, and they actually sort of look out for her. And then at the end of the book, it's actually revealed that this little girl also has one of the creatures that are now called Osselan, I think. And she making her also Nalanya. So I think that's really interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was. I was wondering if that's why we had the Renami, because you weren't here as maybe last time we were kind of complaining that we don't really see the point of the, like it was okay, but the Renami and Falau plot line, like it was very separate, and then also it was in like the third person, which some of us cared more than the others, but like, yeah, we're like, oh, we don't love it so much. I was like wondering, is the reason why we followed them, which I didn't mind them that much, this book to be fair, was Ayesh and her like being Elanga. But yeah, you're right, Kira. There are a lot of Alanga popping up, and I'm
Yeah.
enjoying about it. It's like on one hand, it's kind of cool that it's like they were there all along, and we're just finding them now. And I like that it's said that Geo is working really hard to bring them back, because otherwise it's like, why are they coming back? On the other hand, it is like, oh, everyone's Alanga. Like, why would
Yeah.
they be there? Kind of thing.
Yeah, and how does it work? Because Lynn is a construct, right?
So
No,
so
she's actually not a construct.
Because I was like, how? Because I imagine it's something like you inherit from somewhere or something through
Yeah, I think
ages, but makes sense.
she
right?
was actually grown from parts of different people. So her father actually stole people, like
Mhm.
also the wife of Jovis.
Yeah, that's why the eyes are.
Halana or something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why her
it's
eyes
actually
are.
her eyes.
Yeah.
So she is put together from different pieces, and then the memories of Nisong are put into her, but that only partially works. So she is human, but a created one. So that is strange but interesting.
yeah.
Mhm.
Kind of
I
creepy.
found that really. I don't know if I like, when you don't pay attention to an audiobook for a second, but I feel like there were two things that I was like, where did this come from? Like, when did she find out that she wasn't a construct, but rather this? What did she call it? Like a reconstruction or something?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I had the same thing. I actually also thought she was a construct. And then she wasn't. And also this dynamic with her and Jovis was
Mhm.
that's actually I'm usually a big sucker for romance, but that was my least favorite part about the book. I don't care for them at all.
I'm still rooting
a
for
couple.
Lynn and the guy that I still can't remember the names, but the construct that died in the first one.
Bayan. Yeah, he's
Who
not
may
coming
not
back,
have
I
been a
think.
construct at all. I'm so confused, but
No,
still rooting
Bayan
for
was
them.
actually I think Bayan was a
I
construct,
think
right?
he was. So the copy of her father in the basement, he's not a construct. So she's the same thing that he is. But so I thought it was a big reveal and I missed it or something, because I was like, wait, did we know this? Because we had a whole discussion at the end of the last book. In the discussion, we were like, I was like, oh my God, the like moral conundrum of wanting to get rid of bone shard magic, but being bone shard magic. I was like, oh my God, mind blown. And that kind of just isn't a thing. And I was like, when did we learn this? And also when the monk, this is two things. I was like, did I just blank out like a bit of audiobook because I don't remember what happened? When the monk came, he came without a creature, but at some point there was just a creature. And I was like, when did this creature come? Do we not make a big deal out of this? I was so confused. I don't remember if you guys remember when the creature like showed itself. I was like,
you mean from the monk?
yeah.
It might have also been me. I missed it too.
I don't
Sorry.
I don't think that he actually showed up. I think it was like a passive discussion that he had one, and that it was kind of like more reined in, and he didn't keep it out in the open like they did.
No.
And then later on we kind of saw hints.
But then he was there at the end, like he was
Yeah.
physically there, and then he was just there. I was like, wait, why are we not making a big deal that he's just there? I was like, there are a couple of things I was like, am I the problem, or is the book not explained this and it's just kind of a thing? Like, okay, but this makes me feel better. I don't think it was me, to be fair.
No, I think it was actually quite heartbreaking to see that there was such a big difference between sort of Reagan's Ocelin and Thrawn and Mephi.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the animal was being abused and forced into this connection was just heartbreaking. Yeah. I thought, that was the part of the book where I was like, I'm gonna hurt you.
It was, and I think it makes it really interesting, like, to find out more about the relationship between Alanga and Austin, because we have like two camps almost, like the true love kind of thing versus like Geo, who doesn't even have one, so maybe his died, and I think I think if the Ocelin dies, it's like really impacting you, because the ways the monk kind of reacted to like Jovis asking what would happen, he was like, "Oh, you know nothing" or whatever. But it made me kind of feel like it would be like really bad, like you would like kind of lose a part of yourself or whatever. So maybe Gio's like been really impacted by that. So maybe that's kind of how it works. And then yeah, how does it work that you can just force one of them to like bond to you? Like how? Really interesting.
I think it kind of like it almost felt a bit like Aragon, where if your dragon dies, you die too. It kind of felt like that. Like if your Ocelin dies, then you will die too. But I'm interested to see what will happen with Gio, considering I think it was implied that he didn't connect with one due to the fact that he doesn't have like a bone shard behind his ear. But I find it strange where then that magic comes from, because it almost feels as if you won't get that magic until you have connected to an Ocelin and to your heritage. So I'm curious how that works, if that will be explained in the third book.
Yeah, same. That's really good points you're making, because like, first of all, I was like, so wait, are they saying that if you have your shard taken, you can't be a Langa? But then I was like, so is everyone who has their shard a Langa? But that doesn't make sense, because there was no bone shard magic, I think, beforehand, or like not in the way they're doing it now. But then it looks like they don't have their powers, because the monk, the reason he forced the Ocelin to bond was like, oh, if you bond with me, I'll have this super strength to get us out of this rubble or whatever. So he didn't have it before. So yeah, it's very like, when are you a Langa? What is a Langa? You know, it's very like.
But I'm obviously haven't really read the book and everything, but isn't it said that Lynn's father defeated, or well, the family defeated the Alanga, and after that they started taking the bone shards?
Yeah, it is.
Wouldn't that be a reason why the Alanga weren't returning? And now that people were starting to escape and not having their bone shard taken means there's more room for like their Alanga heritage to pop up or something?
Maybe.
I think that's the thing, yeah.
Maybe
but then Gio does have superpowers, so that's why like he had to at some point.
But he's ancient, right?
He is. So that's why I thought he had an Ocelin like way back when.
Yeah. But then I also wonder, say if Gio is that old and he actually lived through the first sort of Alanga attack where all of his brethren were slain, was his shard then taken afterwards? And how did they not realize the fact that he is that old? Because usually they take them from kids, right? So when you reach a certain age, you get to the tithing festival and they take your shard away. How did they not realize that Gio then is way too old for his age, or he's way too... How do they know that he still has a shard? Was it actually the Emperor that took the shard away, one of the Suka? Like, what is that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Many things to learn in book 3.
I hope they're all revealed.
Me too.
Yeah, that's me too.
There's honestly a very good chance that I might not even remember half of this with my current mind. So
I mean, fair enough.
I would be the type of person to also, like with Game of Thrones, to look up spoilers before watching the episode, just so I know what to prepare for.
Or force your best friend to tell you how a book ends because you want to know before you read the end.
Yeah.
Wow.
To avoid a repeat of Shadow and Bone, Esme, you should read this. It's a lot of fun.
I've been watching Wheel of Time, but I don't have the strength to read all the books. So I just had someone sit through and explain, online, obviously, sit through and explain all the books. I was like, yeah, this is it. Love it.
I mean, fair enough.
I started Wheel of Time, and I think I got a quarter of the way through the first book, and then I was like, yeah, no, this is not
falling asleep halfway through.
It was so boring.
But the series is
written. I feel like maybe not even what happened boring, but boringly written.
Yeah.
But to be fair,
I think someone's gasping with all of your comments.
Yeah, I know.
No, we won't spoil what. Don't worry. Oh, sorry, you're saying spoilers pre-watch. Well, I'm so curious. Anyway, should we get back to Bone Shard Emperor? I curious point out the love the love subplot you brought up, Esme. I'm curious how other people feel, because I am a sucker for romance, and for me, any book you put romance plus 10. But I agree, it was a little bit like I didn't entirely feel it with my soul, you know.
So far, like I am on chapter 5, obviously, but I feel like they would just be so much better just as good friends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not feeling anything, and it's just weird that, I mean, her eyes are his lover's
Wife's eyes, yeah.
It's just weird. They should just be friends, just stuck in the friend zone. Just, I don't know, it's weird.
Also, the fact that they keep lying to each other, and then him making her feel bad about not telling secrets, and him just behind her back going, you know what? I'm just gonna tell the resistance all of this. Just yeah. Sorry. That is a solid base for a relationship. Lies and deceit. Solid base.
Yeah.
I feel like this happens with every romance like in this series so far, is that they're so surface level that they're so hard to believe that they don't really dig in like to the emotional aspects. It's like, oh, these two characters have spent a lot of time together, we could just have them fall in love now. And that's actually like one of the reasons like why I kind of rated this lower, because if I have a romance, if you're going to purposely include a romance in a book, you need to do a little bit better than that. So that to me like really dropped my rating, because I already like wasn't a huge fan of the first portion, like in the first book, like of the romance, but now we got a second romance, and I'm kind of like, it's not enough. It's not enough to have it in there. They should have just like not even put it in there. Like, we don't need kissing. We need like more explanations like on the other details.
Yeah. I think the reason why I rated it this high is due to the story aspect and not the character aspect. Usually, I'm a really character driven reader, and I prefer books that are character driven. But this is definitely a story driven based book, due to the fact that I think that most of the characters aren't as fleshed out as I would have liked them to be. I mean, not even 100% knowing whether our main protagonist is a contract or not, or the fact that we just. Yeah, I feel like all of the characters that we encounter are kind of surface level, meaning that I don't particularly care. Like, Valu's best friend, Titus, dies, and I just...
No. Is that the guard guy that helped her?
Yeah.
No.
I honestly, but honestly, like, the fact that you see all these characters so little, I just don't particularly care about the characters. I'm just really curious to see what will happen.
No, I get that. I'm still here for the Lynn Bayan romance.
I liked Lynn and Bayan more than I liked her and Jovis, which I'm surprised because I really like Jovis. But I agree, it felt very like,
I
oh,
like
hanging out
Jovis,
an awful lot.
I like Jovis as a character, but not as the romantic interest of Lynn. Because, like I said, I'm firmly in camp Lynn Bayan, even though Bayan is dead. I don't care. I'm still in that camp, and you're not going to convince me otherwise.
I mean, I don't think he's coming back, so
no, I know.
I think that's one of the things that was like one of the only things that was truly specified in the beginning of the book, where she said, I could potentially grow him again from sort of her father's toe or something, but it would never be truly him because of his memories being lost. And I think that was the only thing where I was like, yeah, that is really, really interesting. The fact that it's not just like, oh, we have this, reason, or we can now rebuild people, so I'm just gonna do it, even though they look a little bit different, and but we'll have all of their memories and like put them back. So basically, whenever you die, you don't. So, but that was really interesting to sort of emphasize the fact that you can't bring people back, even though you can build people.
Yeah, I think that was also like underscored with Nisang's story, or like the construct Nisang, because she was the one where she kept losing people, and I actually felt really bad because she only had so many people. And then she was like, yeah, I could reanimate them, but it won't be them. So it's just like corpses walking around, which is like really sad. And with her, I was like, yeah, she's like losing everyone. This is quite depressing now. And you could see how had like a spiral effect on her sanity as well. But I agree with the Filoue's like guard friend. The only reason I was sad because he was like, "Oh, my wife and kids." I was like, "Oh no, oh no."
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I agree. I think it's quite surface level. Yeah.
So I was just wondering, I'm not sure if that's explained or not, but Lynn's dad had Thorana, what she called, the animal companion, stuck in a tank, basically. But was the animal companion bonded to her dad, or how does that work? Is that explained?
It's not explained, but I don't think she's bonded to her dad, because I think they can only bond once.
Yeah, okay. But then I'm like, where did her dad get Thorana?
What she said was like, I was in the darkness and then there was him, but that's kind of all we learned about it. So I don't know. I think maybe we'll learn more in book 3 where the Ocelin come from, because Jove has been asking Mephi, like, from book 1, where did you come from? And Mephi like always avoids the question.
Yeah.
Almost like he knows, but he doesn't want to say. So maybe we'll find out in book 3 where that happened. But yeah, I don't think she was bonded to him. That's not the vibe I got. I think she just like, if she would have been, it would have been more like the way that the monk bonded the other one, like by force rather than like a natural connection.
Yeah.
And I don't think the dad had superpowers as well. So
no, I didn't think so. But I was like, where did he get her? How does it work? That just wondering.
I agree with this point, though. Learning about the background and the magic swords via the exploration of basements, catacombs, and tombs was just fabulous. Different factions trying to acquire their own swords and animal companions. That's just, I think that was one of the favorite, like what Femke mentioned in the beginning, the trying to figure out where all of the keys fit and trying to figure out where everything comes from is just really interesting. Also, the fact that Jovis just finds a white sword with the shirtless view, trades it for the sword that Lynn has, even though it's completely like the exact same sword, gives that to the Eye of Karn. I can't pronounce that either, but the other bandits.
No, you nailed it. That's how they say it in audiobook.
What? How?
You nailed it. Eye of Karn.
Oh.
That's how they say it.
Oh, nice.
Really nailing all the pronunciations. I'm very impressed because these are hard words.
This is a first. I'm putting this on my resume now. But yeah, that was really, really interesting. I think the swords and where that came from, together with the journal of Dione, sort of going from I've met a friend who is not Alanya to he almost mortally wounded me and is now going after all of my kin, is really, really interesting.
Yeah, but I agree with everything you said, but that scene with Jovis drove me crazy because I was like, are you stupid? I'm sorry, but you have not a single brain cell. So let's just really right? Like, so he finds out that the Emperor has the same sword. The sword of I literally just said it and now I forgot. Karn says, give me the sword. The Geo says, give me that sword from the Emperor. And he's like, I think if I just substitute my exact same sword for this one, nothing bad will happen. I was like, what? Jesus told you, hold on to the sword. Like, you're stupid. So yeah, I was like, please, idiotic. Like, just say that you're going to do it and bear the consequences, but to pretend he thinks nothing's going to happen was really driving me crazy.
Just just you saying that he has a single brain cell is at that point probably a compliment, because this dude has no bloody clue what he's doing. And then he just goes in, gets Mephi injured, and he's like, wait, how am I still bleeding? Maybe it is this mythological white sword. Whoa, shocker.
He knows the myths. He knows everyone wants it. He knows that this mythological sword's the only thing that can kill them. And he just gives it to them and thinks there will be no consequences. I was like, what?
Also, is it just me, or him just sort of being knocked out by, I don't know what it was during that big battle with that, was he like slapped on the ground by that giant sea monster? I don't know. Then he gets his Ocelin kidnapped and he immediately goes, I know where to go. Like, I get that it's probably taken by the Iron Karn. I get it. But did you not just, like 3 chapters ago, mention that they're in every single island there? Maybe even the sunken ones. Like, how do you know where to go?
Yeah.
It's just strange.
Intuition.
Yeah, intuition. Yeah,
Okay,
just
so-
follow the red dot on the horizon.
Like if he said, "Oh, I can feel Matthew somewhere," so like then that makes more sense. But I agree. He's like, how do you know where to go? Also, you have so many enemies. Someone else could have taken him. Like probably it wasn't, but just like I don't know.
Yep.
Also, like the fact that he thought that, I thought he was gonna right away run after to like try to find him, but he was just like, huh. Yeah, it must have been what happened. Just like la 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 to Lynn, and then tell her that he's gonna look instead of looking first. I was like, maybe you can still catch up. Like seriously.
Yeah, it was really funny. Like, how about you stop all of the boats leaving the island first? You know, maybe he's still on there.
Nah. That wouldn't be
Yeah,
fun.
this guy has no brain cells. That is just none. Also, I think that was the ending of the first book, and maybe you guys have mentioned it, but speaking of Jovis, how do you go from my entire life mission in my life is to find my wife to going, you know what, I'm gonna just abandon this mission and, you know, destroy the empire, even though you
know
could
what?
go to the island. Like,
She did anyway. I don't care. Even though I just spent the last 7 years trying to find her, she did.
she, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very like, oh, she's dead? Okay, I'm just gonna accept that. I'm like,
what?
are you gonna investigate a little bit? Like,
Sorry, what?
I love Jovis, but yeah, whenever he opens his mouth, I'm like, oh god, honey.
He ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
Nope, no, definitely not. No, I liked his mom though. His mom was nice.
Yes.
His mom was great. Or even how he like took the Lynn pretended to give him back his shard, or she gave him back his shard and he just threw it away. I'm like, maybe it would have been useful to pretend to have it like just maybe should be a break, like thought in your head to like pretend instead of just giving out all of your cards. Like
Yep.
definitely hot. And they've got the same eyes, so it's all okay.
Yeah, that's
Wait.
another thing that kind of made me kind of cringe like about this, because like you said, he went from being so gung-ho about finding his wife to like 3 chapters later being like, well, I guess it's time for me to find somebody else, kind of like, you know, like looking at Lynn like, man, she's kind of cute. And I'm like, what happened? Like where's like the emotional development for this?
Yeah, he just goes from, oh, I've married my wife. Oh wait, that's a woman. It's just,
Yeah.
do you it's basically that you know, those squirrels that basically, no, it's Doug from Up that just goes, squirrel.
Yeah. Yep.
I love that. And you both looked at in my view, it's like you both looked at each other. It was very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting question from Tafty. Well, I guess it's
What
not
are
a
your
question.
favorites?
He's sharing
What
that
are-
his favorite characters, Lynn, and we spoke in the last live show, sorry to interrupt, about our favorite characters. So curious to hear your Esme, and curious to hear if anyone's changed theirs.
I think in the first book it was probably Jovis, because I really liked. No, I think my favorite one was Bojan in the first book. I agree with Femke. I really liked him, but considering he's dead, moving on. Yeah, I think Jovis was my favorite in the first book because I really liked Mephi. So sort of that dynamic was my favorite parts of the book, first book. But I think I agree. I really like Lynn for the second one. She's really badass, and I like the fact that she is very much not her father and trying not to be. So yeah. What about you guys? What are your favorite characters from the first and the second book?
My first one, like my favorite character is probably Mephi, but my favorite storyline is Lynn's. And so far, from what I've heard, Lynn is definitely going to be my favorite storyline as well, because I still don't feel Falu and Renani. I don't know if there's N's or M's, and all that. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't buy it in the first book, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to buy it in the second book. And yeah, I like my men with more than a single brain cell. So
Can't relate.
I mean, obviously, Lynn and Jovis is kind of the same storyline at the moment, obviously, but still.
Did you just say can't relate? Yeah.
Love a good hidden.
What about you, Kira?
I mean, basically the same. I mean, I love Meffy. He's just got he's got kind of got that comic relief thing going on, that cutesy thing. But Lynn has a lot of information, and she seems like very knowledgeable, very full of wisdom, I guess, for what, like probably more than she realizes because of all the studying that she's done, because of all the books her father's collected.
Yeah, I think for me, first book, it was Jovis for very similar reasons. Like Matthew was awesome, and I just like Jovis. Like, yeah, he's not the brightest, but he's got good intentions, I guess. And I liked how devoted he was to his wife, but that's not really any longer the case. So, this book, I don't know, Lynn grew on me for sure. Because at first I was a bit frustrated because she was so like, I am the best thing for this empire. Democracy, who is she disgusting? Like, it was very like, oh, my empire is the best way to go. And I was like, you've been sheltered your whole entire life, you don't really have any political power, you're barely even a real person, like 7 years old, really. So like, maybe I'm not saying you aren't the best person to lead it, but I feel like I wanted her to be a bit more reflective and think about why she's the best. And it just felt like, I'm the best because, well, to be fair, she was like, I'm the best because someone needs to unite us. And like, I get that. So that's fair. But I just was like, why you though? You have literally nothing going for you. No offense. Like, she's grown through the book and I like her now and I like see her potential. But in the beginning, she was like, oh, disgusting. An idea that we could have like a group of governors all with equal votes, like trying to agree. And she's like, how is that gonna work? I'm like, it's called democracy, honey. Like, it's better than an empire. But yeah, so she grew on me. So I don't actually know who my favorite character is. I think Meffy will forever be it for me. So yeah.
Yeah.
For me,
Really?
Meffy is on the same level as like Clay.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
I'm not sure
Clay
if you
from the
Clay
Family
is from,
Side as
yeah.
my. I don't know
just-
if you read that.
I don't think I remember, but
No, but have you read Foundry Side?
oh no.
No, because
he's
Clay
like
is like the
super
character
Ah.
from Foundry Side.
I was thinking it was one of the group from Nisong because they were all called Coral and Sand and all that. So
no.
it's like there's probably a character called Clay that I don't remember, but
Yeah, no.
yeah.
No,
okay.
it's different series that we read before.
No, yeah. I wanted to join you guys, but I have the book. Yeah.
Read the first one and then stop.
Okay, good to know.
But I actually found Nisong's storyline super interesting, and I felt like she and Lynn had similar level of that. I don't want to call it zealous, like being zealous, but like just like the drive. And it's like Lynn just has, they're very different, but it's almost like they're from the same core, and you're just seeing how they could develop differently. Because like Nisong also has like this insane belief in herself and her right to rule kind of thing. And yeah, I found it really sad how she lost everyone. I was like, you could just live happily on that small island, like, but she has just like need to first of all revenge, which I kind of get, and then she's like, she really wants to get to that construct of the father, or not the construct, the replica. That's what they call it, a replica of the father. So I'm like, oh, is she like in love with him or is she mad at him? I'm very curious.
But isn't that kind of logical though that Lynn and Nisong share that same drive because they were kind of supposed to be like, I don't know, the same person?
Yeah, for sure. So that's what I mean. It's like their core is the same, but like seeing how they utilize it differently and how their experiences change them. So it's like almost started from the same person. Although it seems to me, that's one thing I was a bit confused about, because it seems like like Nisong, like that, the replica or the construct, her has like basically all the memories of the actual Nisong. So I'm like, why did he discard her for like a version that barely remembers anything? So I was a bit confused about that.
But didn't she get her memories while on the island?
Yeah, but then that's because a shard like dislodged that made her forget, right? So he would have put it in there.
I'm curious though, because they talk about this on the island, I don't know. That one. They actually talk about this fog. And I'm curious if that is a sort of self-inflicted fog due to the fact that they're constructs, or if it's something that is due to the island or something that someone put up to. So I completely agree with what you're saying. it's weird to discard someone who is so much like that person, if that's what he wanted.
Yeah, so I think the fog, in my understanding, but it could be not correct, is like the fog is something that the emperor put in there in one of the bone shards, like it was a command. And I think the command to like keep doing the same thing and like just like I guess exist, because the reason Nisong like got out of that fog was because she fell and one of the bone shards like dislodged and fell out.
Right, okay.
I think the way she fixed other people was maybe doing that, but she also just talked to them, so and that helped as well. So I'm not actually sure there.
That's fair enough. I don't know. That's a good point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because
But that's another part that's just not completely explained.
No. But you know, one of her friends, Leaf or whichever one, she was like, the island wasn't the prison, the fog was the prison. So it's, I don't think it's the island that does it. It's just like they were in that fog, mind fog or whatever.
Yeah.
Although that island was like super hard to get to be fair, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think nothing explicitly forbade them from getting off the island. So
Yeah,
in that sense, the island wasn't the prison.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was their commands that were the prison.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, seems like you should have kept this wife and could have lived happily ever after. I was a bit confused. Maybe he wanted a replica, not a construct.
Maybe.
Still like a maid thing. So for me, something I was really curious about, and I don't think we get an answer, but curious to see what you think, was that Lynn was like at some point, I don't even have time to think about children. And this was back when I still thought she was a construct. I was like, can you even have children? But I guess if she's a replica, then she can biologically, like she's the same as a person. I don't know. I was like, why are you even thinking about having children? I thought you were a construct, which she wasn't. And that wasn't clear to me, to be fair. So,
I mean, that's a good point. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
I assume construct can't, but maybe a replicas can. So, you know what is also curious? Obviously, like we have the specter of the Emperor replica, so I guess he'll probably be a big bad for the last book as well, right? So that we'll have like almost three big bads, because you can't just like have him there and not do something with that. It's like the Chekhov's gun thing, right? So,
I mean, probably not.
Yeah, a bit disappointing. I think I want Nisung to wake him up and then just like stab him to death and be like, how could you do this to me? Because like, how could she be still in love with him? Like he technically put her on this stupid island and made her do the things, and now all the people are dead because of that. So I'm like, I don't think she's in love with him. I think she's like, I want to get my revenge on this guy.
Yeah. Let me just put you to death, basically.
I think so. I hope so. If she's like, I love you, I'll be like, what? Like, girl.
Yeah, I mean, she had her chance because Lynn actually said, you can have him. He's not complete yet. Basically, like handing someone an unbaked bread and being like, here you go, have a loaf of bread. Just put it in the oven and, bake it a little longer. Like, what?
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would like to have a lot more things explained in the third book. And the fact that it is even bigger than the second one does give me hope.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that they focus on the right things and not make it sort of a love-sappy, happily ever after story.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of unanswered threads, so I just want to get answers to everything. And I want them laid out better than Lynn is a replica, not a construct, because that was not explained, that was just said. So, yeah.
I
actually found a lot of... Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I mean, so they talk about how simplistic constructs are overall, which is why I think Lynn for like a while, like maybe like for a while, like Lynn kind of suspected she might be a construct, but it kind of makes sense that she's not, because she's way more complex, like than pretty much any constructs like that you come into contact with, including like the family. That was completely like consisted of constructs because it was Nisong's family members. So, I mean, I just wanted to add that because it just, I don't know, like I feel like that kind of tied that together.
Yeah, man, that was so sad. I was like, so her whole family's just dead? Like,
And this poor boy was living with these weird replicas that don't really know, like. But while that's true, that to be fair, like Ning-sung and those guys are quite complex, so they must have like a lot of bone shard like powering them. But yeah, good point. Yeah, I think I just wanted her to have that realization, which maybe I missed, but just be like, oh, I am not a construct, I am a replica, and this is how I know. Because it felt like we just knew that, but I didn't learn it. That makes sense.
Yeah. Also, the fact that Jovis figures out that the original Lynn has died when she was 3, and he doesn't immediately go, oh, wait, I might be trying to date a construct. Just is weird in my brain, where he's just like, you know what, I don't care what you are. Even if you're my sister, I don't care. Basically, it feels like that. It's just strange. Like,
Yeah.
all he knows is like, he could have, there could have been parts of his brother in there, making them sort of somewhere related because his brother died. Like, there's also, where does her heritage come from? Is that just part of, like, basically her arm is Alanya and the rest is just not? Or like,
Yeah.
how does that work?
Because does that mean the original Nisung was Alanga, or like what does that mean? Like how is she? Or maybe it was like other parts of her, which would be really gross and weird, but I guess makes sense. Like, yeah, Joe was like, it's like flitted through his head. Oh, maybe she's a construct. There are constructs that look like human, and then he just like, woof, whatever. Oh, I just poked myself in the eye.
Oh. But yeah, that's strange. Where does the heritage come from? Like, Jovis is Alanya, but I don't think his parents are. So what does that mean? I mean, it would make sense with the entire sort of construct part, considering the parents had their constructs taken. He was one of the only ones who didn't. And then with them sort of coming back to life now, like, does everyone then have, after the Alanya were destroyed, sort of have the ability to become one? Or how do you become one? Is it your memories? Is it a limb? Is it like, how much of your genetics have to be Alanya for you to be Alanya, considering Lynn was built, not she was artificially created. So that's just, it doesn't make sense in my mind for Lynn to be Alanya. Or is it just something else where the Austin are like, I like this person, I will do a very good and connect. I don't know.
Yeah, I just hope they explain it, I think, because I'd be a bit annoyed if it just is because she's the main character, therefore she has to be Alanya.
Yeah.
Like, I hope they explain how that works.
I mean, it does make sense looking at it from the other perspective of the Osselin, considering the monk actually only got his bond through force. So it might make sense that he, it's not something in your heritage, considering, I mean, we all sort of guessing they also all come back from sort of the same two people. They will all have some part of that. And it's more on the side of the creatures than on the side of the people. That would make sense.
Yeah, but didn't the monk say that the reason he even like went reading all of these things is because it was his birthright, and like he kind of acted like he was Elanga and he knew it before bonding. It's just he didn't get his powers, but I could be wrong there. But he kind of kept going on and on about his rights and the birthright and his heritage and blah blah, like that he deserved to read these books and stuff.
That's true, I think. Yeah, there's just a lot unclear, and I hope it becomes clear once we get to the third book, but I'm a little bit afraid it won't be explained.
Yeah, this seems like more of a very soft, very liberal magic system, because we really don't have any clear definition of any of the rules or, any of the like framework for why this happens or why that happens or anything else. So it just makes me think that we're going to have a lot of unanswered questions, like Esme was saying. So.
Yeah, I'm a bit scared because I feel like when the book came out, there was some like negative sentiment, I want to call it, like some reviews. So I'm like, oh, I hope it's good, or at least like satisfying, I guess. But there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Like, it does have like the lowest rating out of the 3 on Goodreads, but the third one is 3.99, And then the first one is 4.03 and the second one is 4.11. But there is a bit of a difference in the amount of ratings because the third one has like 3,500 and the first one has 25,000. So, but overall, they're all around 4 stars. So
That's interesting.
Well, just hope it's not another Foundry side. we can enjoy book 3.
Was it that bad? Like, just
I liked book 3, but most people, well, I kind of liked it, but not many people did.
I didn't dislike it. I just thought it was mainly the fact that there was a huge gap, like in between the time frames of the ending of the second book and the end and the beginning of the third book, and because there was such a huge gap, it really kind of made the writing like a little bit disjointed.
Okay.
It just felt like a different world, but yeah, we don't want to spoil, so we're not gonna get.
Please don't.
But yeah, I still kind of enjoyed it, but it was very different.
Yeah.
I'm just now thinking about Foundry side, even though we're not here for that.
for the Bone Shard War, most people, like 43%, give it 4 stars.
That's pretty good.
So
Yeah.
I think overall,
We're not gonna talk about Lachlan's, don't worry. But was there anything else that we wanted to chat about for this book?
They talk about the relics, like the Alenga relics, and how there was a part in the book where the one that Lynn had collected, which was just the face, opened its eyes when the Alenga magic was present. And I want to see that kind of like played more into, everything. But I feel like they only included that for the sake of mysticism and, kind of like, oh, this is something like that's happening right now, instead of an actual like overall point to the plot, like to the final resolve of the plot. And I don't know how I feel about that, because I kind of like, I thought it was cool, but I don't think we're going to get like more, using like that as a tool, kind of like to kind of figure out like who's an Alenga, who's not.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because the eyes opened again when they came back to the island. They were like, "Oh, we didn't channel magic, so someone else must have." I'm like, how does it work with like proximity then and like all that kind of stuff? Like, it's very, if it's anywhere at the island someone used magic, then it's very like almost useless, because like what are you gonna do? Like it, but if it's like, oh, within a meter, then okay, that can be useful, right? But I don't know. I think it's interesting to see where it goes, because even at the end, like Lynn has been outed as an Alanga, and I guess they know Jovis is one too, but like people are almost embracing her, so it's like curious where that goes. And I'm interested how it's curious how much they hated Alanga, and then Lynn does like one nice thing and everyone's like ready to embrace her. So I feel like that's probably not going to last very long, and it'll be easy, because I feel like they emphasized in this book like 50 times how easy it is for people to turn on you, and how easy the popular vote turns. So I think we're going to see end of this book, people are like having this high of a battle, so they're like embracing her. But I think no, it's not going to last, because we heard like, yeah, that it's easy to sway public opinion, which is sadly very true. So.
Yeah.
The other thing like that I was kind of wanting like to mention too is right after he gave the sword or exchanged the sword, and then realized that the Incarn can now wound the Alanga, and he's all like, man, I was just like, he's like, I wonder if Lynn knows about this. And this is just like another like one brain cell thing that we're kind of talking about, because it's like, if she knew all the stuff that he was doing behind the scenes, would she still like him? Because I kind of feel like she wouldn't. Yeah. Or we're just inserting like that romance plot because we're just going to look over like all the really messed up stuff he's done along the way.
I mean, she's just going to be like, someone's interested in me, so why the heck not? I don't know.
Yeah. I found it quite deep because, like, obviously in the beginning he doesn't know her, so like whatever, right? Like, okay, you want to fight. Not that he knows the childless few that well. Like, he was like, oh, I'm just gonna fight for you guys now. Like, I don't feel like he cares from the depth of his heart. Like, he just follows, but whatever. And then, so okay, he doesn't know her, so that's fine. But then he gets to know her, and they even, like, I think kiss, and he's like kind of got feelings for her. And he still wrote, first thing he did when he found out that she's not really the emperor's daughter was write that letter. He didn't send it, but like that was his first instinct. And I was like, that's really fucked up. Like, so your first instinct was to betray her. You didn't send the letter, but that doesn't really matter because someone could still find it. I don't know. And she like found it and kind of, I feel like kind of forgave him now. I don't know. But yeah, it was very like, oh my. That's a bit deep.
But that's
I mean,
the
it's
thing, too.
kind of like saying, I will kill you, and them saying, oh, that you scared me, and then saying, yeah, but I didn't need it, so it's fine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But that's the thing too, is like every emotional shift in this just seems so surface level. I hate to go back to this again, but like this is just kind of, you know, like throughout the entire book, like she goes from hating him, I never want to see you again, I'm going to execute you if you ever come near me again, to mean like, come back to me.
Oh, darling, come back to me.
And I'm like, what? I understand he helped. I understand. Like, you're grateful. But nobody shifts that quickly.
Yeah, and when she like told him to leave, she was like, I was partially heartbroken because he betrayed me and partially because he actually left when I told him to leave. I was like, you should be mad because he betrayed you. Like, I understand being like, oh, fight for me, but like, you learn basically that your whole relationship's a lie, and he'd be willing to like sell you out. Like that information that she's not the emperor's daughter is like pretty much end for her because what is she? A, they don't want to learn that she doesn't want people to learn that, and then B, like her only claim to fame, to power is that she's the emperor's daughter, right? So it's like, yeah, but she was like, oh no, don't leave me. I'm like, okay, very lonely whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought they would play more like, oh, now that Jovis has left, like the monk can have the space to manipulate her or whatever, but they kind of just like, he was like, subtlety? No, thank you. Let me just use brute strength. I was like, you could have just waited, manipulated her now that Jovis is away and do something.
Yeah. Yeah, that didn't really make sense, though. Also, I would have liked to have a bit more about him. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I feel like they could have not done the entire distrusting Reagan plot at the same time as a battle, because you could have just focused on Nisong for the second book and then shifted Rhaegon to the third one and have that be one of the major plot points, maybe halfway. I mean, if you have a book that large, having a big plot point halfway the book, I think that would work. But now it was just like, oh, we have this huge fight going on, and we might actually end up dying here because of how many constructs there are. And then they were like, you know what? I'm going to betray you right now, and I'm going to send my most trusted fighter away who actually has a creature and might not like me, but definitely likes the Empire. So they're against the constructs. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, like I agree. I think he could have been introduced in this book. Jovis could have not trusted him, but Lynn could have, like, to me, I thought, okay, the whole thing is that Jovis doesn't trust him, I think partially because he's just jealous. But then Lynn was the one that kept like saying, oh, I think he's lying, and let me like read his memories. And then Jovis was being a super selfish prick and didn't let her do that. So I was like, yeah, this is a bit too much. Sorry, my computer's dying, so I'm just going to charge it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they had a lot of potential in that character, but didn't utilize it as they should have.
He's not dead though, right? He escaped?
No, I don't think he's dead, but I think keeping him in that spot of being sort of a close confidant for Lynn would have been really interesting.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I think he's gonna team up with Nisong in book 3 because she made some kind of point, right? That, oh, there was that monk that fought Lynn and escaped, so that's possible ally or something like that.
Yeah. That would have been cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like the book was doing a lot. Like, so we start like in Imperial, and we're finding all these secrets, and then we do 3 random trips around the country, and then we're like back to Imperial, and then we do another trip to this like island that is fighting. So it felt like a lot. Like we were moving a lot, and then there's a lot of different subplots and stuff like that. So maybe we could have like cut it down a little and focused more in depth rather than broad.
I agree.
Mhm.
I suppose we'll see what the third book will do.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the third book.
Any big predictions?
Moralanga.
I don't think that is supposed to be a prediction.
Oh. Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, curious to see where it goes, and I really hope we get some answers. Because, like, I appreciate a soft magic system, but still, we need some answers.
I feel like how powdery like the romance is too. Like I feel like Lynn and Jovis are gonna end up together.
Mm.
Or how powdery everything is.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be like he's just gonna show back up like one day, and she's be like, "Oh, you're here."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
Probably.
guess now they're gonna be separated again because he's going to find Mephi. So I hope he finds some juicy secrets while he's out doing that.
Yeah, that really depends on like how work is going to go and how much energy I have. Because right now I come home and I flop on the couch and that's about it. So yeah, I don't know. I will try my best, but as always, but I will be here as always, even if I haven't read the book. So
Yeah. Do you guys know when we're gonna talk about it?
I don't think we discussed what our November schedule was like yet.
no.
No. Yeah. I think for me 26 works well, but we can chat about that later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The challenge is bigger as it's the chunkiest. That's true. I feel like I'm gonna start now. I'm not over soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting the book tomorrow, so.
I mean, I don't really care about how big it is, but it's just finding like the motivation and energy to actually pick it up. Because like once I get going, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because I read the first book in like 2 sittings, so didn't take me that long. So I don't think it should take me that long to read these 2. But yeah, it's mostly just a matter of like energy. So
I keep getting distracted by the Third Empire of Silence book, the Thunder series, because I tell you what, like I'm sold on this series. Like it has a little bit of everything, and I'm just into it. It just feels so real. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Can't wait to pick it up.
Yeah, I'm just trying to fit like that in between, and I'm just like, ugh, I need distraction.
I'm actually glad I'm getting back into reading. Like I read 2 books in October, and that was the first since my holiday time. So I'm just really happy to get back into reading.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had a lull in like August, so I was like, oh, September, back on it. And then like last 2 weeks, I'm like, oh, I don't want to read. Like, I just don't feel like it. So
Yeah. I know that feeling.
How many books in that series?
So they're coming out with the 6th book in hardback because I've been collecting them on in hardback, and the 6th book's about to come out in April, and there's supposed to be one more after that, and I think that's supposed to be the end. But I could read this series forever, so as long as I keep having good material for it, I'll keep reading them. So yeah. Well, you guys can ask me how it's going like after book 5, but I mean, you know.
Nice. I feel like for the next couple not couple, like several live shows, we'll get updates. So I'm always excited to hear, because I was like, oh, I hope Kira loves it, the book 2 or 3 as much as book 1, because otherwise
Yeah.
it'd be sad, because it was such love.
Well, there's, I mean, the thing about it is it's the construct, like how he constructs the world. Like it's smaller writing, so every chapter like amounts to something, but it's so good. Like it's just so detailed, and no detail is like left unturned. Like I feel like I get explanations like at some point for like every little thing. So it's very well thought out. Yeah.
Oh, Panda's short story collections.
I've already read 2. Well, I've already read 2 of the novellas with this too. So yeah, and then like most of the other short story collections are an audiobook. So I'll have to figure out like if I actually want to devour those on audiobook, which at some point I'm probably going to want more. So, but yep. So back to, anybody else have anything else to discuss in the Bone Shard Emperor?
Think so.
Yep. So I guess it is at an end for this round of discussion, and we will have more updates in the future on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it now, to let you guys know when we're going to be doing more of these and where.
The website is still called Twitter, so for me it's going to be Twitter until the website is no longer twitter.com.
Yep.
Wasn't like x.com is actually taken, so we can't buy the domain. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm still calling it Twitter. I know I will not call it X. I refuse. I refuse.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks for joining us, everybody who was here. Thank you guys for the discussion. This was awesome as always. And I guess we'll see you guys, next time.
In a couple weeks' time.
Yeah. Probably reading sprints first and then the discussion.
Yep.
On a final note.
Yes.
All right. Bye. All right. End stream. Awkward last